What's the first thing you ever did to a guitar besides play it? Something that might be considered working on it or improving it? That's the question I asked a whole bunch of folks out at the Asia convention this past summer in East Stroudsburg, PA. Asia is an acronym for Association of String Instrument Artisans, and there were plenty of them there. We got to play lots of fun guitars, see old friends, and had a great time. I shot some video too. Check it out.
So what's the first thing you ever did to a guitar?
I had been begging the local repair guy in my hometown to let me come, hang out in his shop. He got really irritated with how much I loved every single guitar, whether it was a good guitar or a bad guitar. He was trying to teach me there are such things as bad guitars. One day I just pushed him too far with my cheery outlook, and he gave me a pair of safety glasses and a crappy guitar that was hanging on the wall, and he made me smash it to pieces on the floor, and it was an incredible feeling.
I ended up with a Checkmate guitar I bought in Big Rapids at the Giant Way, and it was a horrible instrument. And as I tried to figure out why it wouldn't tune and why it wouldn't play, I started messing with it. And the first thing I did is I put a lag bolt from the heel to the back of the guitar and cranked it, trying to get the action down. Well, that didn't work out very well, but I did it. And then I decided after a little while it was the wrong color, so I decided to spray paint it chrome, because my dad worked at a part store and he had some chrome paint. Believe me, when it was done, that thing was a mess. And I still have it.
I used my guitar for knife throwing practice.
So Dan, what was the first?
No, I'm asking you first.
Oh, okay. Actually, the first thing I ever did was I was a bass player and I got totally into Jocko. So I took my 80 or 81 P bass, maple neck, pulled the frets out, knew how to pull them out sideways. I was about 12 or 13 years old because I figured they couldn't come out the other way. Used wood putty to fill in the slots, and that neck basically folded in half. About a year ago, a customer of mine showed up who bought that neck on eBay and asked me to fix it. And I said, I can't fix it, but I know who broke it.
Best thing to improve a bad guitar is to burn it. And we've done that. And I actually have a picture of a burning guitar. So once a year, the Seattle luthiers get together and burn all their mistakes, because there are people who really believe in their profession and want to only produce the best possible thing.
What was the first thing you ever did on a guitar?
Some Wrigley's chewing gum wrapper, the aluminum, folded in half.
Right.
Put it under the high E string on Harmony Rocket.
Wow.
In my band, the Spiders, our band, the
Right.
Spiders, to stop the buzzing.
Cool. Were you smart enough to use the juicy fruit instead of the
Juicy
Oh, perfect.
This young fella introduces himself and says, "Are you Dan Erlewine?" I said, "No, I'm his little brother." So this is Michael Cabot, the fourth. How long have you been into lutherie?
About 6 months or so.
What have you accomplished in 6 months?
I've built nearly a dozen guitars. I keep getting better every time I build, learning more than I can even imagine, really. What I did when I first started building was I'd keep a list of every mistake I made, and I'd put it on my workshop wall, and I'd check it every day to make sure I never make the same mistakes again. A couple of them were made again. I spray the color tone rattle can lacquer. I usually do actually a can and a half of the sanding sealer, because I end up sanding a lot of it down.
Now, are you building from a kit or from scratch?
From scratch.
Wow.
Safety planer to your StewMac safety planer. I use the rosette cutting jig with the router base and the Dremel tool.
Big boomy sound.
Yeah, it's a really deep body.
You started 6 months ago?
Yep.
How old are you?
21.
This is my proprietary design for Headstock. So this I have a patent submitted for, and what it allows is a very, very compact design with a full scale length. There's a 25-inch scale length guitar, full-size electronics. These are Lindy Fralin blues pickups. You got the volume tone blender pot, just like you'd see on a full-size guitar. So here you have a jack, normal jack for gigging. And then there's a top jack for putting in, I use Vox headphone amps. Plug that in, put in your earbuds, sit back in your easy chair and play all night. It's a StewMac low-profile truss rod. And I don't think I could have built anything of this type of quality without StewMac's help, frankly. Between the tools, supplies, and instructional videos, I'm eternally indebted.
I love this thing, man. How many have you made so far?
That's number 4.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man.
I'm going back. I'm asking everyone the same question. You got a second?
Sure.
What's the first thing you ever did to a guitar? Not playing it.
When I was about a freshman in high school, just had started playing the guitar, and my brother had this cheap Epiphone electric guitar, and the fingerboard was starting to pull away, and it caused the frets to buzz. And at that point, I didn't really know what was happening, so we went over to my buddy's house. His dad had some clamps and had some glue, so sure enough, we crammed some glue in there, clamped it up, and it held, and it only put a few dents in the back of the neck and in the fretboards.
I wanted to know what was inside the guitar. I could see that the outside was interesting enough, but the inside I could not see, and I wanted to know more about what was in there. I took the guitar and went into a roundhouse swing with it into this column, and the guitar exploded into hundreds of pieces all around me, and I can still to this day hear the tinkle of those pieces of wood as they hit the floor. So I realized just then that these were component pieces of wood that were unlike other pieces of wood that we commonly knew.
It was a pretty dramatic issue with the first guitar I had, which was a Kalamazoo from the 30s, but it had been kind of munged up at some point, and it wasn't real fancy or real pristine by the time I had it when I was a teenager. I had a lofted bed that my dad had built, so it was a high bed in my room, and I used to fall asleep with my guitar in my bed with me, and I fell asleep with my guitar next to me, and I had one of those really physical dreams about dancing, and I had this dream that I was ballroom dancing, and I was like, made these big sort of movements and spinning around, and I really kicked out, and sort of one leg went this way, one arm went that way, and knocked the guitar out of the lofted bed, and it sort of launched onto the floor. When I picked it up, it had a big nasty rib crack from the end block up most of the bass side. So I got some glue and borrowed some spool clamps and figured it out, and I glued that crack. You know, not super cleanly, but it was in one piece. So that's the first repair I did.
First thing I ever did to a guitar was my electric input jack on the Stratocaster I had didn't work. And when I opened it up, I found out that the wire leads were broken off and they were too short to connect. So I had to make it connect. So I got a paper clip, I wrapped it around the wire and then attached it to the input jack. And then I put it back in the guitar, and I was able to play through the rest of the gig for the night.
That's a good one. Wow, that's beautiful. Let's turn that around.
It's a fully adjustable neck.
That's awesome. Waverly's.
Show them the tail piece.
This man works with chisels and knives. No power tools to speak of, hardly a router.
I sanded the neck of my Epiphone Les Paul to get rid of the gloss and make the feel smoother, so I didn't get stuck when I was playing.
You think that tended to lead you down this road?
It felt really cool to actually like sense a problem and then fix it.